Today I'm going to talk to you about forward folding. And why forward folding is so important is because it not only wakes up, stimulates the spine, encourages fresh circulation from the top half to your bottom half by closing off these femoral arteries and opening up the hamstrings. But it also releases a lot of tension all the way down through the feet, up through the shoulders. And forward folding can be very safe, even for people with low back pain. Now, if your doctor tells you not to do yoga or forward folds, please don't do these. But the cool thing about forward folds from a standing position is that you get the benefits of an inversion and you have a little bit more wiggle room with tight hamstrings. So if I was to take a deep breath all the way up and then exhale, just fold forward, I can come into a place comfortably where I'm floating right around tabletop, Ardha Uttanasana, but my hamstrings are tight, so my knees are soft. Now, see how close my feet are? They're in hips distance. If I open them even just a bit more, or a good bit more, I've got so much more range in my hamstrings. Now it gets into my inner thighs, and I've got to use my hands and my core to keep my low back strong. But if that's too hard for you, then we come into the wonderful assortment of props that you have around your house you probably don't even know. It doesn't have to be a block or a bolster or a kettlebell or a roller, but a basket, a strong trash can, a flower pot, anything that you can use to kind of assist yourself. And for this flow, I just like to take the legs in a nice position that feels good when you're upright. Take a deep breath up, lift the ribs, fill the lungs, let the chest expand, and then exhale, hinge forward, nice and strong straight spine, sink down and release, soft knees, come up. Taking about 10 of these is very meditative. It's beneficial for the oxygen flow to your lungs, to your brain, all the way up and down the spine. Full body massage, even if you're just checking in with the body. Let your breath empty all the way out before you stand all the way back up. And then be patient while your belly and your breath rises all the way to the top, maybe even holding it for just a moment. Exhale, fold down. Keeping that breath silky smooth, and take extra breaths when you need to, because when you are folded, you are shutting off certain arteries and closing certain areas that can cause you to get really dizzy. And I don't want you to. So go ahead and breathe. If it doesn't follow with the cadence of your folds perfectly, just modify as needed. So say after 5 or 10 of those, you feel ready to pull your feet in a little bit more. And you can start to kind of get dramatic and like syrupy with it. Bend the knees, let yourself kind of roll all the way up. Almost like we're doing spinal rolls in our down dogs. The most important part is that you keep your breath nice and full. And you can also take some really fun chanting or mantras when you're doing these kind of activities. Inhaling all the good shit. Exhaling all the bullshit. Inhaling all that you need in the universe. Exhaling everything that does not serve you. Feeling yourself completely being well, being mindful, exhaling everything that makes you feel doubt and fear. Inhale up, exhale, maybe bring the feet in a little bit more. So then as we start to get closer and tighter, we'll just draw up will activate the low belly. Draw the rectus abdominis up and under the front ribs. Really activate the lats, and you're keeping your back supported. Hamstrings still opening. If you find yourself sinking into the backs of your heels, grip those toes down. Keep the knees buoyant. And then just bring the chest and the shoulders forward a little bit. You'll create a nice dome, strong dome through the back, an active core. You want your low back to feel strong and supported. And then release down. Inhale up. I know it's a lot of information, but once you start activating, you'll feel strange when you're not doing it. And then at that point, it doesn't feel like a lot of steps. But let me tell you, this lower back lat activation is some serious shit. Just these small movements are building my back strength. They're also massaging my digestion system. They're activating my legs. Whenever you need a break, maybe come down into a squat. Activates the entire leg. And then as it comes up and stimulates all that warm energy in your low back, that awakens everything in your spine, and that warmth is going to resonate to your body 10 times quicker because you began in your core and your low back. So come all the way up. You should be feeling pretty warm. And if you're not, that's okay. Maybe your hamstrings need a little bit more time. Remember to use all the props that you need. And then just start to work those little cues and those little signals into your flow. So say we're doing a sun salutation, a simple vinyasa, bringing up, feeling all that activation rising. Exhale, sink forward, let everything be soft. But then when you rise back up, realign, re-engage, retract, re-grip, and then exhale. Come down through your strong shoulders. Feel every step, the length when you step back. Take advantage of every juicy stretch all the way up the femur. Exhale. Take another breath. Step that other leg back. Feel the actual movement of you extending backwards. Inhale. Exhale. Roll your body into a down dog. Up on the toes, rolling forward. Practice your spinal rolls. So you see we start in the feet and the hamstrings, and we work into that low back and keep that low back warm and lubricated. You bend your knees, you sink your bum back, push your back up and dome the back. It takes a little bit of practice. You'll kind of get into a flow. And when you get the feeling for it, it doesn't feel so herky-jerky, I promise. You can take one leg back and just kind of isolate the sides of your obliques. Getting some nice adjustments through my spine while I do this. My hands, my wrists, my shoulders are lined up so it doesn't feel fatigued. But you can always kind of modify. Start to walk the feet up. Rising up into your active forward fold, halfway lift, re-engage, realign, re-engage, retract, extend, extend. Exhale, fold. Folds are simple seeming, but so good for you. I was trying not to have just like an alliteration moment where I began every word with the letter S. Now you'll see when you sit down and come onto your, sorry about that, when you sit down and come onto your seat, your legs will feel, you've got a little bit greater range of motion, but honestly, you may still have to separate your feet a little bit. He's a fan. Hey, babe. Can you lay down? Can you lay down? Right here? Right there. So widen the legs. So widen the legs and take your series of folds there. I like to give the example of sitting up like a doll with stiff legs, stiff spine, stiff arms. And when you just send your arms out forward, if you could only hinge like a doll, if there was no curvature or flexibility in your spine to either collapse or extend, when you hinged forward, you would only go as far as your hamstrings would allow, without any traction, without any reaching or, okay, Jelly Bean, you're gonna have to get, he hates this isolation shit. Okay, so when you reach forward, see where you land here, and then go grab your dog or wherever and give yourself a little bolster support there. This creates, and think like a doll. Think kind of straight and stiff, and that way you can remind yourself to stay a little bit rigid just through your spine so you don't collapse. I don't want you to feel tightness, and for some people this could even hurt the low back simply because it's a lot of core engagement and retraction through your abdominals and your scapula. Activates your lats, I swear. But when you take a supportive pillow, maybe not a foam roller, and put it right between your legs or right between your legs and your ribs, and you can chill here. This is still working my lats. My legs are completely active. My core is tall and strong, active but supported. And say I was going to read a book, newspaper, watch some TV, watch a game or something, watch a movie. And this is a great way to have some active recovery. You're doing the work, but you're resting, you know, you're in this resting pose. Your breathing doesn't have to be any certain way. This is just for your own wellness. And that takes a lot of the stress off, I think. But you just have to get yourself in that position, and you'll be so thankful for it. If you're upright like that for a while, if you work on your feet, and if you sit at a desk, even at your house, since we're not at work right now, just take a few moments and just put your feet up. I know you hear me say this a lot, but I mean it. Put your feet up, let them float. You can hold on to them a little bit. You can bend the knees a little bit. You can let the legs and the hips just kind of melt down into happy baby if you want to. But keep those feet above your heart for, gosh, at least 90 seconds. At least 90 seconds. And roll your ankles. Check in with the knees. If you're up against a wall, check in with your hips. Put the feet together. When you've got the wall for traction, you can press against it, and you get a lot more out of your hips this way than when you're upright and that your weight is on top. These are all very kind of soothing, opening, stress relieving, anxiety relieving poses they're good for you, and you don't need a lot of time, and you don't need a whole flow, and you don't need me to tell you these things over and over. Just come back to the basics, you know? Keep it simple and sweet. Make it fit into your current schedule. And you might even have a puppy dog join you, or a cat. All right, guys. I've been sewing for like 18 hours a day. I apologize that I haven't been making that many videos, but this felt really good because I've been sitting in a sewing machine too much. And I'm gonna go get outside and get some fresh air, watch the sunset. I hope you have a beautiful evening. Be well.